Hey guys, Taylor GammaEdge here, coming at you 5-minute market recap for July 7th, 2025. So a bit of a down move intraday today, pretty much sustained downtrend from the open. However, we saw some key interaction with our key zones and levels we identified as part of the pre-market prep, or I should say our dashboard that we got right at market open. So let's take a look at that, and we'll take a look at our pre-market tools to see how we can navigate that price action from today. All right, so here's that pre-market dashboard. This is SPX 0DT specifically. So key things to note at first, our transition range, drunken tether zone, that was from 6,300 down to 6,225. And the way we get that is by understanding the gradient of the distribution of speculation across the options chain. So that's jargon for really, right, just understanding how people are positioned within the market. We want to identify where those large goalposts are at as well, and then where we could see just meandering chop zone. So, right, that's exactly how we got that zone identified. And then we did notice to the downside, big gamma glob sitting here at 62.35 to 62.25. So we wanted to be very aware of that zone. And if we were to break below that zone, bit of an air pocket down to 6,200 right there. Then obviously to the upside, we needed to first see 6,300 broken before we started to make our way up higher. 63.40, massive speculation at that level, likely a top for the day if we were to see upside momentum. Obviously, we did not see that, but as part of the pre-market prep, we have if-then statements for both sides of the market. So going back to the chart view really quick, just so we can understand how price action occurred. So at the open, right, fighting, could not get above the opening print. Failed at VWAP, then really just a continuation lower all day. Couple key levels we were talking about in the Discord. First beam was a 6250 level. That was kind of a key half level psychological level, and B, that corresponded well with Thursday's closing low on for that session. So again, just another key kind of psychological level that folks pay attention to in the marketplace. And then this was also where the bottom of our DEX and our GEX transition zone was at 6250. And I know we said DEX transition zone, GEX transition zone, drunken tether range may be confusing if it's the first time you're looking at it, but if you go to GammaEdge.us, go to our blog, we just have posted an article on these three specific trading transition zones. So I would give that a watch or give that a read. Anyways, right, yeah, so we lost, prior day low 6250, then really just downtrending throughout the rest of the session. You can see that we had a lot of key interaction throughout the session with that big gamma glob we were talking about from 6225, 6235. Right, and then the downside move pretty much climaxed down at 6,200, almost to the penny, kind of what we were talking about in the dashboard that we were looking at earlier, right? That 6,200 level right there. So it made a lot of sense that we kind of saw a reflexive bounce from there, and then really finished just in the middle of that gamma glob. But yes, understanding the levels are great, but understanding kind of that intraday trend and knowing that the trend, the market action, the flow is trending lower as well. In the context of our key levels is kind of where our system, kind of differentiates itself. One of the ways that we do that is through our market trend model. Here, this is just looking at real-time buying and selling taking place in the market through the lens of the tick index. If you're not sure what that is, again, go to our blog, Market Trend Model. We have an entire article on that. But right, the key things that we saw today on an intraday basis is net selling throughout the session, both the cumulative tick, obviously the cumulative tick, and then the filtered tick, which is a measurement of significant buying and selling. This was trending lower for the most part of the day as well. So again, that kind of made it easier for us to cut off one side of the market, saying, okay, likely are not going higher on the day, so likely a downtrend day. So then wanting to be smart and precise around those key levels in the context of the down move. And last thing you to know here, looking at our intraday volume analysis, not familiar with this. Again, for the third time, hate to point you to it, but our blog, we have an entire article on our intraday volume analysis tool, so please give that a read. These videos are not meant to explain these concepts to you. It's meant to explain the price action for the day through the lens of our tools. And so right on the session, we saw, call volume trending lower all session, put volume sideways to lower all session. So again, just another very useful tool to understand what the direction of the market was. And then again, understanding where price was at reacting with our key levels. Something that I wanted to note too is this bounce off 6,200 right here made a ton of sense. Reason that it made a ton of sense was and yes, I understand this is kind of hindsight quarterbacking. Don't really care because professional athletes watch the game tape to get better. So why would we not do the same, right? So 6,200, we called this out intraday that this would be a key kind of downside level if we lost 6,225, exactly what we got. But then looking at the reflexive bounce, this made a ton of sense from this level because reason being is when we saw this kind of initial kind of severe down move around noon, we saw a ton of put activity decisively lower. And so when we see this kind of activity matched with price action, likely put buyers are buying contracts at that point in time. And then what we see has happened is price moves down kind of to the midpoint of where that downward action happened. So net, these calls are now at the money, meaning all these were placed out of the money. Now these are starting to get at the money. Folks are monetizing their positions. We see that all the time when we kind of hit the midpoint, both to the upside and to the downside. And 6,200 again was a key level. So this kind of monetization point made a lot of sense. Right, and then we finish the session just kind of meandering up back to VWAP, back to the middle of the Gamma Glob. So not a ton else to say there. I just wanted to show you how this is actionable on an intraday basis. The first time this is seen. This visualization here, we're at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. We can see, call centroids are trending lower throughout the session. So all else equal, we can see that path is still lower on the session. Put centroid sideways to lower as well. So again, at 12:30, all else equal, we knew that the likely path of price for the session was lower. And with that, after this video, the goal was to tell you how you get those key levels in the pre-market at the open with that kind of at the open structure, pre-market structure, and then trading that in the context of our intraday tools and what those are telling us in terms of trend of price action on the day. And so with that, appreciate the time. You guys have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.